2, 3, 4, and hello, everyone, and welcome to NoCode North. And this our second Northern Showcase. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I'm Jeremy LaRue. I'm what am I? I'm a writer, director, and a no-code, low-code developer from Vancouver. On the NoCode North team, I'm the resident automations expert, and for this stream, I'll be punching all the buttons. So if anything goes wrong, let's just blame the tech.
And I'm Maggie Monso. I spent almost 10 years in the film industry building props and sets before I found Webflow and making the switch. Now I've been working with Webflow for about 5 years. And at NoCode North, I'm the creative behind the cool colors and our official Gather Town nerd. And our friend Penny is away this week, but she is behind our social media and newsletter and connecting us with the other community groups in our NoCode space.
And our mission at NoCode North is twofold. Firstly, it is to build and foster a community of Canadian Webflowers and no-code enthusiasts. And secondly, it is to showcase our great Canadian talent to the rest of the world. Our community events happen in our gather space, and they include show and tell sessions, workshops, and general networking. And then every couple of months, here we have our big main event open to everyone here on YouTube, our Northern Showcase.
All right. Well, just a quick thanks to everyone in the chat, and we're just gonna say hi before we get started. But thanks, Franklin, for coming by, and Michael Collins, Connor. Hey, how's it going? Thanks everyone for being here. Before we start, just wanted to say if you have any questions, there's gonna be some time at the end for Q&A. So leave them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. And on today's Northern Showcase, we have the pleasure of welcoming an internationally renowned designer and developer who just so happened to also be Canadian, eh?
Our
Too
guest
much?
talent for Webflow and and design are no joke. He's one of the best around, and if you have taken his awards course or seen his work in the Webflow Showcase, you know how serious he is about expanding and exploring new ideas in design. With 12 years experience, he runs Jomor Design, an independent design practice in Montreal, Canada.
Please help us welcome Jonathan Morin, also known as Jomor. Hey, Joe. How's it going?
Pretty good yourselves?
Good, good.
Excellent.
Thanks a lot for having me.
No problem. We were just talking about the weather 2 seconds ago, and yeah, no snow nowhere in Canada today. Not in Montreal, not out east or west, or in
No.
Toronto either.
We're
Yeah,
done.
no state of snow yet, Joe. For yesterday was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were coming up with they have the state of flow happening throughout different places in the states, and so we came up with Joe plumped in that if we do it in Canada, it has to be the state of snow. But we're not, it's summer. I mean, I guess there's a possibility, but it's we're not there. So, but you said it was a bit windy where you're at
today. Yeah, it's windy. Yeah, but hopefully it's not gonna snow today. But if you're not in Canada, there's no way you can know that it snows even in the summer. So right now I'm lucky. I still have my electricity in my igloo. Everything's fine. No worries.
I like how you decorated it. It looks good.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into this?
Yeah, let's do
absolutely.
So just before we start, we decided to start all of our Northern Showcase with an
I don't even know what the second one is. What's that? No, I'm serious. No, I'm dead serious. So poutine. Maybe it is. Maybe we just have a different name for it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. The tarte au beurre?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out myself. He's just a man, just a guy trying to make his way, make a living in this crazy industry, trying to help people with their web design needs.
How long have you been doing this for? Have you always been in web design?
No, it's funny because I never thought I'd be working making websites. Like if you said that to me when I was a teenager, I'd be like, "You're crazy." That today I'm making websites for a living. It's sort of odd, but I got into it by the design door. So my background was working on branding, stuff like that, mostly print, and then eventually I made the transition over to websites because that's what people want apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy I ended up here because I feel like I'm very fortunate to be in this situation today.
Yeah, I know. I love this job. Wait, so what did you want to do when you were a teenager?
I don't know. I was a very lazy teenager, to be honest. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. Uh, in high school, I was thinking maybe I could do architecture,
Yeah.
but then I was told that you had to be good in math and science and stuff like that. So I quickly abandoned that idea. Then I went into interior design out of high school, dropped out, then went into art, dropped out. Yeah. And then I wanted to do I wanted to go in advertising to put my very crazy creativity to use. And I don't know, I just fell into design by accident.
And loved it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm so happy the chain of events that led me here. I'm so happy. Yeah.
Did you do web design I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and you worked at a couple companies. Did you do web design there or just design and then you
Yeah.
found Webflow on your own?
Yeah. Webflow on my own. And I like I said, I had no interest in doing websites prior to starting my own business. And then
Yeah.
it was just a force of nature. I had to adapt. Well, not, I mean, I could still do only branding today, but I mean, I felt like there was the need and it would be more beneficial for me. Like it would be easier to find new clients and make more money if I were to focus on websites rather than just logos or
Design.
brochures or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I was feeling the same too. Um, Actually, your LinkedIn profile also mentions that you've been working at Boston Pizza for 4 years. Were you doing web design at Boston Pizza?
Oh no, not really. I was working on my soft skills, trying to get some tips. So it's funny because they reached out to me pretty last minute. They have 4 categories of 4 different stages, and the category for design was lacking some speakers.
Yeah.
So they reached out to me, but since I had like 3 weeks to work on the whole thing, I didn't have anything prepared. So I had to. It was a nice challenge trying to get everything set before the actual talk, and it's funny because it was my first design talk ever. I've been on a stage before in my life, but never giving a design talk,
Hmm.
and I feel like having the opportunity to do it in my native tongue, which is French, was so much easier than having to do it in English. I mean, like right now I'm talking in English and my brain is doing a whole lot of math to make it
Yeah.
all work.
Yeah.
But being on stage and everything was flowing very easily, it was a great experience. The conference itself is so well done. I was really impressed with my first experience there.
Ah, that's awesome. I'd love to check it out next year.
Yeah, it's
I,
pretty cool. They usually have speakers from all over the place, but since COVID, they had to play it safe a little bit more. So the speakers they had this year were mostly local. They had a few
Mm.
people from outside of Quebec, but not as much as usual.
Yeah.
People doing that today.
Yeah. So I was wondering, because I feel like being a jury at awards is this mysterious, really cool thing for the rest of us. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about it and yeah, tell us about working at awards as a jury.
It's cool. I mean, it's a nice privilege to be able to do that. I feel like it forces you to analyze other people's work. I mean, you can always do it on your own for your own for your own daily job, but I mean, it's good to be forced to actually look at other people's project and think of what went into doing that and how they achieved this, how they achieved that. So it's and it's nice to be in a position where your opinion matters, you know?
Yeah, how many hours do you have to put? Do you have to go through a certain amount of websites and review them, or how does that work?
No, it's sort of like there's a pool of websites, and when you happen to have some free time, you go in and you judge. Obviously, if you want them to keep you on, you have to do your part.
Yeah.
But you don't have like a list dedicated to you specifically. Well, I
Right.
mean, not all juries see the same pool of websites to judge, but still, you don't have like a list to go through each week or something like that. You just have to. I usually go like I judge about 1 to 2 websites per day, something like that, just to make
Mm.
sure I'm keeping up with
Yeah, it's not too time
with
consuming.
yeah.
Yeah. Since you're a jury there, can you just give yourself 10 out of 10 every website that you submit?
No, you can't. There's some big no-nos not to do on the platform, or judging like your buddy's website or stuff like that. You
Yeah.
have to be very impartial and be ethical. Yeah.
Darn. So now I thought we could talk a little bit about your course. Do you want to do a quick intro about your course?
No, I don't. Go right into questions.
Okay. Well, I'll do a super quick one, but Joe has this great course. I think it's 7 or 8 hours on Awwwards, and it's very advanced. So if you want to get your skills up, I highly recommend it. I watched the whole thing in a day and a half. I thought I was going to marathon it in one day, but it was longer than I thought. But it was really great. And yeah, it's on awwwards.com. We'll leave the link.
So
yeah, I figured it looks like they always have sales.
for you're getting so much for the little amount you're paying. You're getting so much out of it.
Yeah.
Whether it's my course or someone else's course, it's so cheap. I strongly encourage people to get them.
Yeah, no kidding. And it was really fun seeing like the backstage of you making a website, and yeah, so interesting. I was So one big question, because it's really good, and it's really quite advanced, and I was wondering if you're doing this course on your own portfolio. I was wondering if you created your portfolio first, then were asked by Awwwards, and then you decided, I'll use my portfolio, or if you were asked by Awwwards to do this course and decided to build your portfolio around the course.
Yeah, so when they reached out to me, you basically have you can do whatever you want. So they just want you to do a course.
Right.
I was like, okay, but you already have a few Webflow courses on there, and you have Joseph Barry who sells his Webflow course on there, which is his whole approach, his whole hook is pretty similar to mine. So I was like, I'm not going to do a duplicate of his course, essentially. So I thought to myself, what could I do for people to get value out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my previous portfolio, I just kept, I was always getting emails or people asking me on social media or on Webflow, how did you build this? How did you achieve that? Is that is that using no code and all those type of questions. So I was like, well, I'll just do a new portfolio. I'm due anyway. I'll just do a new one, and I'll take people on board, take you along for the ride, and show you how it's done. So the all the design decision that went into the website were built on the course. So the course came first, and then I thought I sort of build the websites to give people some value.
Yeah, because and some of it, like you've really like pushed the amount of knowledge that you put in there. Like some of it is pretty tricky. Like the dark light mode is really advanced, and yeah, but it's really good. It's
Well,
you gotta really focus at some parts of it, but it's like
the light and dark mode, that's one of the things that I never would have done on my own. I didn't need that on
yeah.
my website. I was just doing it to show people that you can do it in Webflow,
Mhm.
and if it serves you, well, there it is. Just use it.
Yeah. I was wondering, how did you plan the course outline?
Well, since it was just me making a new website, it was interaction or how does he structure this specific layout. It's more me doing the site. So I'm taking you along, showing you this is where I start, this is how I build, and it's like we're doing it together, basically, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, to be fair, we're starting at the development phase, so we're not looking at all the work that went prior to that, making all the design decisions and all that good stuff. But still, once we're in Webflow, we're doing that journey together. Yeah.
And now there's some fun cameos in there. Reimer and Joseph Berry's make an appearance. How much was the bribe money to get them in your course?
Oh, I don't
How
want to
much
say.
to pay them?
They're too much
Too much.
too
I
much
bet.
money. They're so expensive.
To produce, like from the concept to editing and all of that.
Oh, I'm having PTSD. I don't want to think about it. It's I always underestimate, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do it. A lot of people watching do it. I'm not the only one for sure, but I always underestimate the amount of time it takes to do something. And yeah, I thought, oh, I could knock this out in 2 weeks easily. No, it took me over 2 months. It was really, really intense. Just writing first of all, writing the scripts, thinking of the trailer, because what you're seeing is a 2-minute trailer, but it's not like I got to that conclusion and just like that. There was a few versions. So that the shooting itself was very fun, but very draining. I have a newfound respect for actors because it seems easy, but at the end of the day, you're very, very tired, to be honest. And so the shooting, everything that's me in front of the camera, I really had a good time doing. But then all the screen sharing and me taking you through how I build stuff, that was so difficult, so difficult. And I think one of the big part is just that having to speak in English while I'm doing it. So I kept like going back. I started recording like 2 minutes, and then I didn't like the way I said that or how this sounded, so I just started over, and I just kept I just kept doing that over and over and over again. So at one point I was like, well, could you please stop and just like just do it. Just do it and get through one good take and move on. So I had to do that. There was a lot of edit, but yeah.
So there's no way you'll make us like a German version and a Spanish version and none of that down the line then, eh?
Nada.
Darn. Also, who chose the wallpaper?
We just locked out, to be honest. This is a friend of mine's lake house.
Yeah.
And we just asked her, can we rent your lake house for a few days?
I like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's retro. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind, I think we're gonna get into the design because we also have a bunch of questions that are design related and related to your process as well in the chat. So, um, let's here let's start by a couple design questions from the audience. There's um Connor was asking, actually, it's design and process in general. Connor Finlayson was asking, do you sometimes work with other, like on bigger projects or delegating certain aspects of your work, like maybe the dev or things like that?
I do. Every project is unique. Every client is unique. I do have some projects where I collaborate with illustrators or SEO teams or copywriters. Sometimes it's people that I bring on board to work with me, or sometimes it's people that the company have in-house. So let's say they have a marketing team, they have a copywriter, they have a designer in-house, stuff like that. So there's no really definite definitive process. It's really project per project.
Sense. And how do you define your visual goals with a client? That's a little bit inspired by your last chat with at the Webflow party, but just wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
The visual goals. Well, again, and I know it's a really sucky answer. It depends on the project, but
Hmm.
some clients, they come to you, they already have a brand, they're established, they need a new website, so they have like rigid brand guidelines, and they know what the tone is going to be, what the general vibe of the brand is. So you don't need to do a lot of exploration. You don't need to do like 6 mood boards. It's pretty straightforward, right? You just need to focus on the structure of the site, in what order you're trying to hit what emotions or what pain points and stuff like that. So it's more about focusing with the clients on the layout, the interactions, the feel, and all that. And you just have to merge those with the end goal, essentially.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean that makes sense. It's just every project's different, every client's different, and because I was gonna ask you about if you have any like set way to do visual strategy, and Yomi's also asking about your design process, but it's kind of the same answer. Probably it really depends, right? But let me know if you have any things that you do for visual strategy on every project or
Well, let's say a client comes to me and they don't have anything, right? Or they have a name or a logo, stuff like that. So we can start basically from scratch. In that case, we do sort of like a branding work. We do some branding work, right? So we'll do some research. We'll establish what's the goal, everything that's prior to the finding the actual concept for the website. So everything that's exploration. So let's start with mood boards. So I'll do mood boards in parallel as I'm doing site structure, because they pretty much go together. And once we decide on what's the aesthetic, what's the feel we're going for, we just sync that with the structure we establish. And I personally don't do wireframes. I stopped doing that a while back. Now it's mostly about knowing what blocks we're going to use to build that thing. So it's not, I'm doing sort of like lo-fi wireframes, which it's sort of like a wireframe / sitemap fusion. If you want.
yeah, like some content mapping and some site mapping and
Yeah, I just want to
all
know
that
where
cool
we're
stuff.
headed. Yeah.
Yeah, because I find if you do anything that's very very visual, the clients get really lost in that medium fi one that looks like a slider, and so yeah.
And again, that depends too on the client. Some clients, they come to you, they already have that whole tree, right? They know
Yeah.
that's the page we need, and maybe they don't know what they're talking about, but often they do. Some clients are very well versed in your industry, and that's great because you have a place to start from. But other time you need to take them by the hand and show them that maybe we should change this for that because X, it's gonna be more beneficial for you down the line with your type of audience and so on.
Find your design inspiration.
No, and like many designers, my answer is going to be pretty much the same, right? So you start with your dribbles, your Behances, and all that stuff, but you don't limit yourself to that, right? You want to go outside of that. You look at movies, nature, sports, architecture, whatever suits you, and then it's really a matter of exploring as much as possible. I like to test, and see what you can come up with. Uh, you don't want to try to reinvent the wheel for every single little thing, because that's going to be a big waste of time. But you can always challenge whatever you want. That section, maybe we should use tabs instead of, I don't know, having a scroll interaction. I mean, just experimenting and trying new things. You never know what you might come up with. And sometimes, if the budget is there, if the timeline allows you to do so, it can be beneficial to try some things.
Yeah, I thought it's interesting to see where all of those great designers you included find their inspirations. Like I was listening to the Webflow Party interview of you and Joseph Berry and Nicolo Miranda, and Nicolo Miranda is all about movies. I think that was his background too, and he find a lot of his inspiration there. So it's kind of cool to know where all of that comes from.
And the thing is, you never know when you're going to come up with some ideas, right? Sometimes you can see something during a movie and you're like, oh, this is triggering something. I'd like to maybe try to do something like that for a gallery in the website I'm working on right now or something. So just always have the wheels turning, and yeah, you're never really off the clock, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing when you're a designer. You're just constantly training your eye. And yeah, I would love to be a good designer when they trying to do that too, and just be on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have, speaking of which, do you have any tips for new designers or wannabe designers like me?
Come on, don't say that. There's no, I don't know, tips. Just keep at it.
Yeah.
Practice, right?
Yeah.
Always be curious, always want to grow as a designer, and not just as a designer, to be honest, right? Try to grow as a person.
Yeah.
Never stop learning, improving yourself. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
And also, I'd say know what you want, because designer is very broad, but not all designers do the same thing, right? If you want to run a business, then maybe you should expand your knowledge to management, to sales, to a lot of things. If all you want to do is work for a studio or an agency, and you want to clock in, clock out, and you're fine with that, then maybe you should focus more on improving your design skills and how to present work and how to talk to your boss and work within a team. So yeah, know what type of designer, what type of life you want to lead, and get your skills according to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because when you're starting straight as a design, or like as a freelancer, I mean, as well, I find it really hard because I come from a non-web design background completely and just jumped straight into freelancing, which maybe might have been a mistake. But I find you kind of have to figure out or to do a lot of design or a lot of development to make a living. And yeah, I kind of tried to do both, and now I'm doing more development than design.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you had that design background, so you were kind of able to go into freelancing with all of that. And and just be successful as a freelancer right away? Or I don't know,
Well,
right away,
no,
or maybe
I
not.
mean, I did struggle, but I did it. I started very slow, and like at first you don't charge a lot. You do smaller project for
Mhm.
like mom and pops, and another advice I could give you is really invest in your people. You know, the people that are trusting you from day one, the people who are willing to give you money to do your job,
Yeah.
even before you made a name for yourself. Because I'm really big in over, maybe that's too much of a buzzword, but over deliver for your clients. And I say that so that your clients become sort of your reps. They're gonna really sell yourself to other people, because I don't do cold calling, I don't do cold emails, I don't do Facebook ads or Instagram ads or anything like that. I'm not big on that. It's more about investing in my clients so that they're happy and they do the messaging for me.
Yeah. I feel
And
like, yeah.
everybody wins that way, right?
Yeah. That's FinSuite's motto, over deliver.
Yeah.
Um, and now let's talk a little bit about development. I'm just going to start with a question from actually one of our Canadian community members, Franklin. He was saying, why did you choose Webflow as your main dev platform, if that's the case? And did you try any other low code, no code tools?
Yeah, it was a while back though, so I can't speak to how those other tools look today because I have no clue. All all I know is what other people say about them. But I did start with the Squarespaces and Wix, and or I would work with developers to do proper websites. Uh, but yeah, I quickly found out that those were very limiting. Right? It's good if you're a photographer and you want to build your own portfolio. You use a Squarespace template. It's very easy, fine, no problem. But when you're trying to sell some custom solutions to clients, that's not gonna work. So I just came across Webflow one day, and I was like, well, what do I have to lose, right? I'm just gonna try it.
Yeah,
So I
I
did.
did.
The thing I did is I an old client of mine slash my uncle, I did his websites in Wix a long time ago, and I knew that it wasn't that great, right? So learned the tool, but I'm gonna say to him, I'm like, I'll make you a new websites for free, but I'm building it on this platform. It's gonna be much better. Uh, so he was like, yeah, sure, do it, no problem. So I learned while giving him the gift of a new website.
Yeah.
And once I did this site, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I'm going all in. So I did my first portfolio with Webflow, and yeah, I just fell in love with the tool, and that was 2016, I think, and I just never looked back.
Super early adopter. That's the thing with Webflow, right? It's kind of an addiction once you get into it. That's
Well, it,
fun.
it allows you to do so much. Me
Yeah.
personally, I know a lot of people are looking to uh, like build things to help Webflow or to push Webflow further. But me, since I don't code, my
Mm.
brain is always thinking of how can I use the tool at hand to achieve what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually, that's a good transition. Because I took Joseph Berry's, sorry, actually I did like 2 or 3 hours of it. I haven't finished it yet. But I'm really impressed between his course and yours at like what you can do in terms of animations just with Webflow. Because I'm always under the impression that if you want to do the advanced stuff, you have to use code and like I've followed Tim Ricks and all of that, and it's so cool what he does. But what you and Joseph Berry do just with the Webflow animations is awesome. What like so do you purposely you've decided like no code and just Webflow animations, or what's your philosophy on that?
it's just a reflex, right? Since I don't code, I'm going to what I know, and what I know is how Webflow functions, especially from the interaction standpoint.
Mhm.
When they released Interactions 2.0, I was so pissed because it messed up all my foundation of how I used to work. So I had to it wasn't that big of a deal, but I had to relearn how to think about my interactions.
Yeah.
It was for all the better, obviously, uh, but yeah, that threw a wrench into how I was thinking of how to build those stuff.
Hear that, Vlad? Don't you dare improving your product.
Well, I'm very much of an old man in that way. Like I don't like change. Change is bad.
Yeah. I actually, yeah, it's kind of cool. I've never seen like because you use interaction 1.0 in your course at some point, just for like a very
Yeah.
specific hack. So I thought it was interesting too.
Yeah, because like I say in the course, they changed it to something that yes, it's more efficient. It's more scalable if you're using it on for every instance of that particular class name. But if you just want a one-off, it's less clicks to use it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I would have never thought of that because I started in 2017, or at the end of that year, and I feel like maybe that was the year of interaction 2.0 maybe. So I started straight with that. Um, but yeah, so some cool things in your course that I took in terms of your development techniques. I really like that because you have your kind of your own naming convention. I really like that you have a glossary in your style guide for the naming conventions.
Yep,
I thought that was really cool. I also love the Noverflow class name. Can I use that? Can anyone use
absolutely.
that?
And since we're talking about this, I'm currently redoing my whole the whole way I do my class naming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you always want to improve a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it as good as possible for to 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 make sure my clients are well equipped going forward without me, but also that serves all my design uh, needs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and
what FinSuite is doing with Client First is amazing, but for me personally, it's sort of like overkill. I get confused with it. There's so
mm,
much in there. It's very robust, right?
yeah.
Uh, but I feel like there's more in there that I personally need. So I do sort of like what FinSuite is doing, but a condensed version, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so good for websites that like for really big websites, like it's so sturdy for that. But the way that you work and people that work with a lot of animations, you almost kind of need to have your own thing. I know like Tim Ricks works with BEM and which is nice because that's very adaptable to your own
Mhm.
style. Is there like specific naming conventions that you're looking at or kind of building your own?
Uh, well, I'm looking at what people are doing and I'm grabbing what I need, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just doing it in a way that I know I'll be efficient working. I want to go as fast as possible with my keyboard and with my symbols and all that. So I'm trying to put in place a design system that serves me best and like I said, that's gonna not throw a wrench in what my clients are trying to do once I hand off the project. But then again, not every project is built the same, right?
Yeah.
So some clients they don't want anything to do with the websites. And some other clients they want to go in and create new landing pages or new sections or new whatever. And those clients mess hosting and they were
Yeah.
like, we're not going to go in there anyway. So why pay for the CMS? I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it without the CMS.
Yeah. Do you design your interactions straight in Webflow or do you design them in Figma and then go, or do you
Uh,
just kind of talk to your clients about some inspirations and then go straight in Webflow? Like, what's your process with interactions?
to pitch like crazy interaction ideas, there's a lot of me describing what's gonna happen. Uh,
One of those, like, this one goes there, and then this one flies up, and
or we'll use examples, right? So
yeah,
I'll show people, oh, this website is doing that, so we're gonna do something similar to this, uh, but yeah, the very complex ones are thought of beforehand, and the smaller ones like hover effects for buttons or
yeah,
very little interactions, those are, I do them as I'm building the site. So I'm not going to waste time thinking of how this arrow is going to move.
yeah,
I'm not going to think of the easing before I'm actually working on the
yeah.
development, right? So it all depends, but most of the time it works perfectly well with my clients. They're super happy with how we're approaching them. And if along the way I want to try something new, I'm just doing a quick prototype in Webflow, show them, and if that works, everyone's happy.
That's cool. I was just thinking, like, I don't know if there's a lot of Mediterraneans in the chat right now, but I'm Mediterranean and we use our hands to talk all the time. So it's a lot of like, and then it goes out like this, and then it like, which works too. Nah,
Yeah.
but lots of examples though. All right, I have a super technical question for you. So I was looking at your on like page load interaction for the homepage, and it is something. It's like if you printed it out, it would probably be a few pages. It's so cool, but it's like you gotta hang on to your socks there to follow the to like yeah. So interesting. So super technical question. How many liters of coffees do you drink in the morning to keep focus on an interaction like that?
The exact number is 17.
Oh,
17 liters. No, not that much. But you saw in the course a lot of them are duplicates, right? It's
yeah,
just like we're doing a cascading effect or something like that. If that's the case, you just need to be very focused on what you're doing. And I think I mentioned that in the course that I was talking as I was doing it, and it messed me up.
yeah,
So when you're doing a lot of copy pasting and changing an interaction and moving the delay a few milliseconds,
yeah,
uh, yeah, you got to keep keep your head in the game, know what you're doing, and having a solid structure with those interaction, because when you want to, it's fine if it's my portfolio, who cares? But if I'm working with a client and down the line they want to change that interaction, we need to think of a plan the fastest possible and not break anything.
yeah. Yeah, it's a yeah, Joseph Berry does a lot of that too, like yeah, a lot of copy pasting and long interactions, and it just looks incredible. Like both of you have incredible portfolios. Um yeah, before we go into the Q&A, just one last thing. Do you have any tips for new Webflow developers?
uh, well, I think the biggest one is have a good design system in place, right? You can start with what FinSuite is doing. If you don't want to build your own, like, use theirs. It's right there. It's so well documented. Uh, do it, because you don't want to build a house of cards. I've seen some awful projects out there. I went under the hood of some Webflow projects where there was no class names conventions. It was just a nightmare. So
Mm.
if you want to change something on those websites, hang on to your socks.
Yeah.
uh, so have a good design system in place that fits with the needs of the clients and that particular project, right? Uh, and yeah, try to think of any potential walls you might hit down the line. So you want to use symbols intelligently. You want to use class names and combo classes intelligently. Um, Try to make it as scalable as possible.
Yeah, that's good advice. I feel like front end design is a lot about looking at the project as a whole and really seeing the patterns and
Yeah,
figuring out how to write your code with those patterns in mind. And like that's the stuff that you don't see. It's not as impressive as going in and doing some really cool interaction right away, but it's so much more important if you're going to be working as a front end developer for the long term.
absolutely. And I've had some projects where clients have been with me for over 4 years, I'd say. And through the years, we've added new styles and new this and new that. And then they have team members in the company that go in the designer, and it becomes very messy very fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to make sure everyone's on the same page, and having the best design system in place is going to save you a lot of headaches.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy's back for the Q&A. You got any good questions from the audience?
You know what? I think you were on top of it, Maggie. You were catching them all as they were coming in. If we missed any, let me know, because every single time I went into like chat or something else, it would stop the stream, and so I kind of learned that, so I stopped doing that. So if we missed anything, then please put the questions back in the chat, and we'll get to them. But I have one, because I'm more of a developer than a designer, and I'm always needing, design tips. Like if there's things that I should be looking at, even from the developing end, to get to be a better designer in that aspect of it. I mean, I'm not fully, I guess, going into design and whatnot, but things that I want to be aware of, like that will make my stuff look better, just those kind of things. What are those kind of tips?
Are you asking for like you working in a team, or you by yourself?
For me, by myself. So like if I don't have a designer, and some of these smaller mom and pop or businesses, they need me to up my design skill so it looks better than stuff. But like, is it fonts, or is it like, what is the type of thing to be kind of paying attention to, like that is just kind of broad design stuff?
I'd say in your situation, don't try to overdo it. Don't try to push the boundaries of design. Just look at some very good examples and try to emulate them well, examples that fits your particular situation with that particular project, right? So yeah, because there's a lot of good work out there, and just use what's already working, already looks good to you and to your client. And that I'd start there. Yeah.
No.
But other than that, it's all about practicing, right? Because even myself, I see every single year I'm a little bit better and a little bit better. And you look at websites you did a couple of years ago, and you're like, oh wow, that wasn't so great, right? But if that's not what you love to do, or it's not your expertise, well, at least you can look at what others are doing and try to pick what fits you.
Okay, we have a question from Albert Franklin. How are you introducing Webflow to customers not familiar with it?
I never do. I mean, in the early days, I had to do some Webflow selling, but it wasn't that hard, to be honest, because a lot of my clients at the time were coming to me because they needed a website. They didn't care how I did it. They just needed a website, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd say for the last couple years, a lot of people are coming through the door asking for a Webflow website. So they already are sold on the idea. I don't need to do any selling at all. But when, in the rare occasions that it's being brought up, oh, we're used to using WordPress. What are we going to do now? This is sort of scary. I just refer all the good documentation that Webflow has on the subject, right? They have a comparison of WordPress versus Webflow. If it's needed, I'll take them through a current build and show them how you could edit your stuff, and make sure from day one to be clear on what you won't be able to do. So let's say that client has an SEO team. They need to use their SEO plugins, and they're not going to be happy if you're using Webflow. So just turn those clients down as soon as possible. Just be upfront and tell them that's not something we can do. So refer them to your buddy who does Webflow, WordPress websites in that case. Yeah, be upfront. You don't want to hit any walls where the client is super angry with you because, turns out we can't achieve that.
But are friends that work in WordPress really friends, though? That's the question. Actually, we've got a really good question from Yomi. I like that one. How do you find balance between all the things you're involved in, work-wise, and your personal life?
Oh, that's the question, right?
I know.
You just do it. It's so hard. And I
Go
have
with the
two.
flow.
I have two young daughters, and that throws a wrench in your schedule every single day, pretty much. So it's hard. You just make the most of it. But Webflow definitely helps. I mean, if it takes less time to build a website, I'm all for it. But yeah, can you repeat the question again? I feel like I'm not delivering.
Yeah, no,
a good
that's it. Like,
answer
I
here.
know I'm struggling with it too. I've got one too, and it's just how to figure out that balance because especially once you start getting involved in the community, and if you're like our little group here, we're not as established as you or FinSuite or Joseph Berry that are able to do stuff in the community, but also have such a solid base already. So I know for us, it's a bit of a struggle to like get all that stuff out there, get our work done, and still have a good balance with our family and our personal life. But I guess it's just go with the flow a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Hope for the best.
And I mean, just like you would a project, analyze your behavior, analyze your daily routine, analyze how you're doing stuff, and try to improve week after week. It's not easy. It's a challenge for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But try to do your best at coming up with a system that suits your lifestyle, your schedule.
Yeah, I think Josh Sparley, a parent too, he was talking about how we need to have an episode somewhere on one of the community channels about that. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Hey, just quickly, Jeremy, like, there's a good question from a Raimar Tirado. Something about pineapple on pizzas. What's your take on that? Is it okay? Not okay?
You asking me or are you asking Jomor?
Joe. Or yeah, both of you. Is pineapple on pizza okay or not?
Oh, it's
in the
so
Canadian
okay.
community.
Yeah,
definitely okay.
I was a big
man.
pineapple denier at first. And then I tried it. Oh, and that changed my life. No, I haven't
Dark
had that
side.
in about 10 years, but yeah, it's definitely good.
Oh man, no, I can't go there. I can't do it. Jeremy, are you
You can't? Really?
No, it's yeah, no. I can't do it. No.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, Jeremy, do you want to take the I don't know if there's the next one. We're almost done.
think-
Oh no, shit. Sorry, I can't say that on.
Did you swear? Oh, Liz.
It's only my second stream, so I'm still practicing. But actually, since there's less questions and we have 4 minutes, 3 minutes, we should talk about where to find you, where to find your course, and kind of do our outro now.
Ah, that sucks. Instead, let's learn some French Canadian swear words.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. What's your favorite one?
I don't know.
Tabernacle?
Tabernacle's a classic, right?
It's funny. Tabernacle. It's funny because that's not like because I'm from France and that's one that we learn. It doesn't translate there at all. What's another good like French Canadian one?
Calice.
Oh, I don't know that one. It's all like religion related.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's true. Everything in English is mostly like sex related, and in French is all about religion. I don't know.
In like French though, it's all kind of sex related too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just you guys are. Yeah. I don't know. Quebec's just doing it right. Yeah.
That's how you come up with the poutine, right?
Very PG.
Yeah. If you want to find me, I'm on all the social medias.
Yeah.
Just Google Jomor Design and you'll find your way. The course is on Awwwards. It's very good. You should get it. And that's it.
Yeah, I recommend it. And we'll leave the links in the description. Yeah, Jeremy?
Well, that brings us to the end of our second Northern Showcase. Thanks so much, Jomor, for joining us. And thank everyone who joined us today and will be joining us in the future and watching us in the future. I mean, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, visit our website at nocodenorth.webflow.io to get all the latest updates, and follow us on all the socials, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And until next time, see you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hold on. Did you turn it off?